السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue inshallah ta'ala with Musnad Imam Ad-Darimi Allah, and hopefully inshallah ta'ala this 40 minutes or so we can finish the chapter that we already started, and the next one التوبيخ لمن يطلب العلم لغير الله. This is where we at التوبيخ لمن يطلب العلم لغير الله. And this is where we stopped here. So hopefully inshallah ta'ala we can go through that and the next one. اجتناب أهل الأهواء والبدع. He says here, and many of these narrations are similar, so we might not have to repeat some of these sentences. So, and it's great treasures really if we listen carefully to what is being mentioned here from these words of wisdom from the early generations of Islam, and the subject of the knowledge and the importance here of the intentions, the sincere intentions, that this ilm requires the proper niyyah, intention, seeking rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only in the hereafter. So he says here, أخبرنا يوسف بن موسى قال حدثنا إسحاق بن سليمان قال حدثنا حريز عن سلمان ابن سمير، عن سلمان ابن سمير عن كثير بن مرة قال لا تحدث الباطل الحكماء فيمقتوك. Do not speak falsehood to the people of wisdom, they will hate you. ولا تحدث الحكمة السفهاء فيكذبوك. And do not speak of wisdom, meaning knowledge, to the foolish ones, because they would belie you. They will say that you're a liar because they're fools. They're not comprehending the knowledge. ولا تمنع العلم أهله. And do not deprive or withhold the knowledge from its people. So those who deserve to be taught, they should be taught. فتأثم, you will be sinful. ولا تضعه في غير أهله فتجهل. And do not put the knowledge in other than its people, you will be called ignorant. And that's an important matter here, because nowadays anybody that wants to seek knowledge, they have the access and the means to it. But since seeking knowledge is not just about information, it's ibadah in itself. So it requires that the person actions with it, and that the person learns to act. So if someone is learning for the information, now the tazkiyah, or praising someone when a person is seeking knowledge, it's about a certificate that they get or a degree that they receive. And these degrees, they judge the speech or what a person would say. Not what I mean by speech, al-qawl, is not necessarily the speech of the tongue, but basically what a person knows, not what a person is acting upon. In which, at the time of the early generations of Islam, the student of knowledge is examined or is tested with what he knows and what he acts upon. And that's why if someone is the most knowledgeable among them information-wise, but he's not acting upon his knowledge, at least to what appears to the people, they would expel him. This is not someone that is supposed to be taught the knowledge of the ilm, because he is not acting upon it. ولا تضعه في غير أهله فتجهل إن عليك في علمك حقا. Indeed, you have rights upon your knowledge. كما إن عليك في مالك حقا. The same way that there's rights of your wealth. You have to give zakah. So also, the ilm has a haqq on you. The ilm has a right upon you, and that is to act upon it. To act upon it, and of course, to teach it to others. He says, أخبرنا عبد الله بن صالح قال حدثني أن أبا فروة حدثه أن عيسى بن مريم عليه السلام كان يقول, that Isa alayhi salam used to say, لا تمنع العلم من أهله, do not withhold the knowledge from its people, فتأثم, you will be sinful. ولا تنشره عند غير أهله فتجهل, and do not spread the knowledge to other than the people of knowledge, so you will be called ignorant or so. وكن طبيبا رفيقا يضع دواءه حيث يعلم أنه ينفع. And be طبيب. الطبيب is the medical doctor, is the one that cares for the health being of the people. So be like this, رفيقا, gentle. He puts the medicine where he knows that it's going to be benefiting. And that's always the ulama, they draw this analogy between the tabib or the medical doctor versus the alim. The medical doctor, when you go to him, he does not give you the prescription based on what you desire. He does not just give you anything to please you, but he gives you what's benefiting for you, even if it might is better, even if it requires a surgery, things like this. And people will trust the tabib because he's learned, this is his profession. What's more important than that is the matters of the deen. So when people seek comfort from the people of knowledge or from matters of deen, it has to fit their own liking and things like this. That's not knowledge then. It's not about this. It's about knowing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us and to be able to follow that. So at the same time, a person of knowledge, he should be gentle. He knows what medicine to give. And that requires, again, as we said, the ilm. He says أخبرنا أبو النعمان قال حدثنا مهدي عن غيلان عن مطرف قال لا تطعم طعامك من لا يشتهيه. He said, do not give your food, do not feed those who do not desire your food. You waste your food. Right? So what is that related here? It's with regards also to ilm. If you give the knowledge to someone that is not going to benefit from it, what's the point? And it can be even harmful. And that brings also our attention to how the ilm, when it's spread nowadays, for anyone and everyone to listen to it. This is something that we have to consider. People might take some of it and misuse it or misunderstand it. And that's why a person needs a alim to study, not on his own what he wants to study. نعم. أخبرنا محمد بن أحمد قال حدثنا سفيان عن داود بن السبور قال سمع شهر بن حوشب يقول قال لقمان لابنه يا بني لا تعلم العلم لتباهي به العلماء وتماري به السفهاء وترائي به في المجالس. We talked about these things before. To not seek knowledge, to be in the level of to be with the same or proud among the ulama that you have knowledge, or to debate the foolish, or to show off in the majalis and the gatherings. ولا تترك العلم زهادة فيه. Do not leave knowledge because you turned away from it. ورغبة في الجهالة, and seeking ignorance. وإذا رأيت قوما لا يذكرون الله فاجلس معهم إن تك عالما ينفعك. وإذا رأيت قوما يذكرون الله, this is typo here, فاجلس معهم إن تك عالما ينفعك علمك وإن تك جاهلا علموك ولعل الله أن يطلع عليهم برحمته فيصيبك بها معهم. وإذا رأيت قوما لا يذكرون الله فلا تجلس معهم إن تك عالما لم ينفعك علمك وإن تك جاهلا زادوك غيا أو عيا ولعل الله أن يطلع عليهم بسخط فيصيبك به معهم. Talks about that before, the two types of gatherings. If you see people sitting making remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sit with them. If you are a person of knowledge, your knowledge will benefit you. And if you're ignorant, they will teach you. This is the gatherings of knowledge where you learn the deen. And maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look at them with His mercy subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will be affected by them. And if you see people that don't make sitting, but they're not making remembrance of Allah, do not sit with them. If you're a person of knowledge, your knowledge is not going to benefit you. And if you're ignorant, they will increase your ignorance. And maybe that Allah will see them by His wrath, and you will be affected by them. He says, أخبرنا الحسن بن بشر قال حدثني أبي عن سفيان عن ثوير عن يحيى بن جعدة عن علي رضي الله عنه قال يا حملة العلم اعملوا به. علي رضي الله عنه, he said, O carriers of the knowledge, act upon it. فإنما العالم من عمل بما علم ووافق علمه عمله. The alim is the one that acts upon his knowledge, and his knowledge coincides with his actions. وسيكون أقوام يحملون العلم لا يجاوز تراقيهم. There will be, the later generations, people, those who would carry the knowledge, but it does not go beyond their throats, or that means it does not go into the hearts. يخالف عملهم علمهم. Their actions is differ than their knowledge. وتخالف سريرتهم على نيتهم. And their inward behavior is different than their outward. Their outward physical actions might be good, but in the hearts, the hearts are corrupted. يجلسون حلقا فيباهي بعضهم بعضا. They sit in حلقا, in gathering circles of knowledge, but everyone is proud of their own selves to be over others. حتى إن الرجل لا يغضب على جليسه إن يجلس إلى غيره ودعه. To the extent of which that a man would be angry with the one that he sits with him because he's sitting with someone else and leaves him. It's about personal benefit, right? So why would you go learn from that person when you can learn from me? Something of that nature. Unless he is warned against seeking knowledge from the people of innovations, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's in the hearts. أولئك لا تصعد أعمالهم في مجالسهم تلك إلى الله تعالى. These types of people, their actions does not get ascended to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these majalis. Why? Because it's all about dunya. It's all about worldly benefit. It's not about the hereafter. يقول أخبرنا أحمد بن عبد الله بن يونس قال حدثنا زائدة عن الأعمش عن مسلم عن مسروق قال كفى بالمرء علما أن يخشى الله وكفى بالمرء جهلا أن يعجب بعلمه. It is sufficient knowledge for a person that he fears Allah, and fearing Allah with knowledge. And it is sufficient ignorance that a person likes his knowledge that becomes arrogant as a result of this. He says أخبرنا الحكم بن المبارك قال أنبأنا يحيى بن سعيد عن عبد الله بن بجيد عن معاوية بن قرة قال لو أن أدنى هذه الأمة علما أخذت أمة من الأمم بعلمه رشدت تلك الأمة. This is to show the virtue of this ummah and the knowledge in this ummah that is being neglected by many. He says, if the least of this ummah of the Prophet ﷺ in the level of knowledge, the least of the ummah in knowledge, if any of the nations takes his knowledge, that ummah, that nation that took that knowledge will be guided. So the least of this ummah in knowledge, nations can be guided by his knowledge, to show the importance and the virtue of knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon this ummah. He says أخبرنا أحمد بن عبد الله قال حدثنا زائدة عن هشام عن الحسن قال إن كان الرجل ليصيب الباب من العلم فيعمل به فيكون خيرا له من الدنيا وما فيها لو كانت له فجعلها في الآخرة. See that if a man would, for example, ليصيب الباب, that he would learn a chapter of knowledge, one chapter, but he act upon it, becomes better for him than this entire worldly life and what's in it. If it was for him, he would make it for the hereafter. قال الحسن كان الرجل إذا طلب العلم لم يلبث أن يرى ذلك في بصره وتخشعه ولسانه ويده وصلاته وزهده. Which is a reality here if it's true knowledge that is being sought. That a man would seek knowledge, and it's very soon this will become seen on his eyesight, in his takhashu', in his khushu', in his demeanor, basically, in his speech and actions, and his hands, and his salah, and his zuhd, turning away from the materialistic things of this life and turning to the hereafter. All of that is by the barakah, the blessings, and the effect of knowledge that is translated into actions. قال وقال محمد انظروا عمن تأخذون هذا الحديث فإنما هو دينكم. Look at who you're getting your hadith from, because indeed this is your religion. And it was said to this famous quote from Muhammad ibn Sirin. انظروا عمن تأخذون هذا الحديث. So in the narrations دينكم. Look at who you're taking your religion from. فإن هذا الأمر دين. This is a matter of deen. So he says أخبرنا بشر بن الحكم قال سمعت سفيان يقول ما ازداد عبد علما فازداد في الدنيا رغبة إلا ازداد من الله بعدا. There are many statements by Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah in the subject, one of which is that anyone that increases his knowledge, and as a result of that he increases in the zeal of this worldly life, unless he becomes more and increases further away from Allah. Mazdada abdun ilm, izdada from a ziyada, that means a person is increasing his knowledge, but then instead of having more attachment to the hereafter, he becomes the opposite. He seeks more of the worldly gain. That would make him increase in his distance away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the ilm of the deen of Allah gets the person close to Allah when the hearts are attached to the hereafter. He says أخبرنا أبو المغيرة قال حدثنا الأوزاعي عن حسان قال ما ازداد عبد بالله علما إلا ازداد الناس منه قربا من رحمة الله. And this is another virtue of the people of knowledge. When a person, his knowledge increases, people will increase their closeness to the mercy of Allah. The mercy of Allah for people to be close to it is by the ilm, is by knowledge. And where do they get the knowledge? It does not get revealed to them. They have to learn it from the people of knowledge. So one of the great intentions to seek knowledge of the deen of Allah, seeking rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, seeking the rewards in the hereafter only, then the person will be among those who are source of closeness to Allah. He gets people closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the mercy of Allah. He says وقال في حديث آخر ما ازداد عبد علما إلا ازداد قصدا ولا قلد الله عبدا قلادة خيرا من سكينة. There is no abd that increased knowledge unless he would increase in his qasd, in his diligency, in his objectiveness, always objective. And there's no one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will قلده قلادة. Al-qilada is the word trophy is from the same concept. It's the what a person wears around their neck as a gift or as an honor or something like this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not bestow upon anyone anything better than sakina, than the tranquility of the knowledge. He says مكرر أخبرنا القاسم بن كثير قال سمعت عبد الرحمن بن شريح يحدث عن عمير أنه سمع يقول إن رجلا قال لابنه اذهب فاطلب العلم فخرج فغاب عنه ما غاب. A man said to his son, go and seek knowledge. So the son left and he was away for some time. ثم جاء فحدثه بأحاديث, and he came back and he narrated some of the hadith to him. فقال له أبوه, his father said to him, يا بني يذهب فاطلب العلم فغاب عنه أيضا زمانا. Oh my son, go seek knowledge. So he went for quite some time, then he came back again. ثم جاء بقراطيس فيها من كتب فقرأها عليه. He came with قراطيس paper with things written in it, and he recited and he read it to him. فقال له هذا سواد في بياض فاذهب فاطلب العلم. He said to him, this is darkness in white, black and white. That means this is, what you wrote on the paper, of course it's good. Then this is how to gain the knowledge, is to write notes and so on. But these notes only does not benefit you. So this is as a tool, as a mean to seek the knowledge. فاذهب فاطلب العلم. He said, go and seek knowledge. فخرج فغاب عنه ما غاب. He stayed there for some time. ثم جاء فقال لأبيه سلني عما بدا لك. He said to his father, what you're asking me for? He says, his father said to him, أرأيت لو أنك مررت برجل يمدحك ومررت بآخر يعيبك. He said, what is it if you pass by someone that is praising you versus that you pass by someone that is يعيبك, saying all kinds of bad things about you and your weakness and deficiencies and so on. قال إذا لم ألم الذي يعيبني ولم أحمد الذي يمدحني. Then I won't alum, that means I won't blame the one that is condoning me or condemning me. I won't blame the one that is saying bad things about me, and I won't praise the one that is praising me. فقال أرأيت لو مررت بصفيحة. He says, what if you pass by a صفيحة? And a صفيحة is a piece of metal. Or بصفحة. صفيحة, either it's نعم. He said قال أبو شريح لا أدري أمن ذهب أو ورق. I'm not sure if it's made of gold or silver. فقال إذا لم أهيجها ولم إذا لم أهيجها ولم أقربها. I won't move it, I won't come close to it. قال اذهب فقد علمت. He says, go, then you have learned. Why? Because now he value things in the right way. This is the benefit of knowledge. One of the great benefits of knowledge that makes the person measure things in the right way. He value what needs to be valued, that deserve to be valued, and he belittle what needs to be belittled. And this knowledge is not from leaving oneself to this worldly life for people to judge things according to what they see with their own eyes. Ignorance means that a person, he looks at physically at things with his hiss, with his eyesight, hearing, things like this. So he sees what's beautiful, he sees what's wealthy and what's good. And that's what everybody is upon. Unless those who learn the knowledge, then they would see things in the right way and form. And they would see that the most pleasurable, the most valuable, the most important thing in this life is the deen of Allah, is what's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the hereafter. And that's the benefits of the knowledge. He says أخبرنا الحكم بن المبارك قال أنبأنا بقية عن السكن بن عمير قال سمعت وهب بن منبه يقول يا بني عليك بالحكمة فإن الخير في الحكمة كله. Oh my son, he was advising his son, be upon the wisdom which is always referred to as knowledge, because the goodness is in the hikmah, in the knowledge. وتشرف الصغير على الكبير. The knowledge makes the صغير, the young one, more honorable than the older one. وَالْعَبْدَ عَلَى الْحُرِّ, and the slave to become more honored than the free person. وَتَسَيِّدَ سُؤْدُدَ, and makes the Sayyid, the chief, more established in his leadership position. وَتُجْلِسُ الْفَقِيرَ مَجَالِسَ الْمُلُوكِ, and makes the faqir, make him sit in the majalis and the gatherings of the kings. All of that is by the barakah of the ilm. And they used to value the ilm at their time in such a way. He says أخبرنا الحكم بن المبارك قال أخبرني بقية قال سمعت عتبة بن أبي حكيم عن أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه قال وما نحن لولا كلمات العلماء. What are we if it wasn't for the words of the ulama? That means we are nothing without the ilm that we learn from the ulama. Without the ulama, we are nothing. And this is again the concept of understanding that this ummah is nothing without ulama. Without ulama, without people of knowledge, the ummah will be in darknesses, and they won't be able to find what is right and what is wrong. Nowadays, as everybody judges their own thinking and their own intellect, and just the fact that they love the deen is, they think it's sufficient for them to be able to judge things and to see what's benefiting and how to act and so on. And you would find them indulged in every matter, in politics, in economy, in personal actions, in aqidah, and this is a dangerous thing. We are nothing without the people of knowledge, because without ilm, then it's all fitan. The next chapter, Babu Ijtinabi Ahli al-Hawa. So all of these narrations is about seeking knowledge with the proper intention, sincerely for the sake of Allah. And as we heard the statement, that whoever seeks knowledge, لِيَحْيَا بِهِ al-Islam, for the Islam to be revived. This is the work of the highest level of individuals. Those who one of their intentions is to revive the deen of Al-Islam, and reviving it is not to change it, but reviving it the way it was at the time of the early generations of Al-Islam. Then chapter Babu Ijtinabi Ahli al-Ahwa'i wal-Bid'i wal-Khusum, the chapter of staying away from the people of desires and innovations and disputes. Stay away from them, and not to waste one's time, let alone affecting one's religion. And this is always narrations of the people of the early generations of Islam. The people of deviant beliefs, those who they don't follow the proper way of understanding the deen. You can invite them to the deen of Allah, you can invite them to the truth. But what's meant by al-ijtinab here is not to indulge into their ways and not to follow their ways. He says أخبرنا سليمان بن حرب عن حماد بن زيد عن أيوب قال أبو قلابة لا تجالسوا أهل الأهواء ولا تجادلوهم فإني لا آمن أن يغمسوكم في ضلالتهم أو يلبسوا عليكم ما كنتم تعرفون. Do not sit with the people of desires and do not argue with them, because I don't guarantee for you that they would immerse you in their deviation, or they would make you confused of what you already know. Nowadays, some people, some of the youth, they would say, for people to warn against the deviant ones, for people to say stay away from that individual. This is something that doesn't work anymore. Why? Because people, they have their own way of judging things, and they would listen from everybody. And if that's what they want to expose their hearts to everything, then they should not blame anyone but their own selves if they become corrupted. And it's been always the nasiha and the advice of the people of knowledge in the early generations of Islam is to stay away from those who follow their desires. And if it's not, and it's a easy matter to recognize. Even if someone does not refer their actions to قال الله قال رسول الله قال الصحابة, then to stay away from this. Nowadays, there's one of the things that are dangerous actually is when people then nowadays they would claim or they would think that this is knowledge if they just refer to alim, any person of knowledge. So this imam said, or this imam said, and you would find always there's a statement of some of the people of knowledge in every matter. But is something that what the ummah is upon, the majority of the ulama, the way of the early generations of Islam, because this is what we ought to follow, and this is how the people of knowledge they have this amana, this trust, to convey to the people this truth that was well established at the time of the early generations of Islam. He says أخبرنا سليمان بن حرب قال حدثنا حماد بن زيد عن أيوب قال رآني سعيد بن جبير جلست إلى طلق بن حبيب فقال لي لم أرك جلست إلى طلق بن حبيب لا تجالسنه. Sayyid ibn Jubayr, he saw him sitting to Talq ibn Abi. He says, why you're sitting with him, don't sit with him. قال أبو عاصم قال أنبأنا حي بن شريح قال حدثني أبو صخر عن نافع عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أنه جاءه رجل فقال إن فلانا يقرأ عليك السلام. A man came to him and he said, so and so is saying salam to you. He says, بلغني أنه قد أحدث. I've heard that he had introduced things in the religion. فإن كان أحدث, if he introduced things in the religion, فلا تقرأ عليه السلام, do not send the salam back to him. Because this is changing the religion. Again, we have to make sure also that we don't become extreme in this subject. Because who is the one to determine that so and so had introduced something in the religion, right? So that's one of the benefits of knowledge. If a person knows the knowledge, then he would know who's ahdath and who did not ahdath, who initiated things, who innovated things versus those who did not innovate things. But when people do not seek knowledge, then it's very difficult for them to differentiate between what's muhdath and what's not. And therefore, they have to, of course, still they have to refer to the people of knowledge, those who they trust their knowledge and their religion. So, but to stay away from those who change in their religion, those who initiate things in it. It says أخبرنا مخلد بن مالك قال حدثنا عبد الرحمن بن المغراء قال حدثنا الأعمش قال كان إبراهيم لا يرى غيبة للمبتدع. Ibrahim al-Nakhai used to see that there's no ghiba, there's no backbiting for a mubtadi', for a person of innovation in the deen. And also with regard to this subject, and also we have to differentiate between that. The matters of ijtihad, or the matters of circumstantial issues, many of the people, they fall into the trap of accusing others of being from the people of bid'ah or ahwa because of a circumstantial situation or an incident that happened, right? A person might, was not aware of the circumstances, a moment of weakness. These types of things can happen. But when it comes to someone changing the religion, someone is upon a principle that is not the principle of Al-Ilm and knowledge and the early generations of Islam, this is when a person then should stay away from such an individual. قال أخبرنا مخلد بن مالك قال ثنا عبد الرحمن بن مغراء قال حد أعمش قال كان إبراهيم لا يرى غيبة المبتدع. قال أخبرنا محمد بن حميد قال حدثنا جرير عن شبرمة عن ابن شبرمة عن الشعبي قال إنما سمي الهوى لأنه يهوي بصاحبه. The hawa is called hawa, which is the desire, because it yahwi بصاحبه, because it makes a person falls down, and that's what al-hawa comes from. Al-hawi is to fall down. This is what al-hawa is. قال أخبرنا عفان قال حدثنا حماد بن زيد قال حدثنا محمد بن واسع قال كان مسلم بن يسار يقول إياكم والمراء إنها ساعة جهل العالم وبها يبتغي الشيطان زلته. Stay away from arguments because it's an hour of ignorance of the knowledgeable one. When a person start arguing, then the ignorance comes out, even the ignorance of the person of knowledge. And this is where the shaitan, he seeks the slipping away of the alim when it comes to the arguments and things like this. So then he says, أخبرنا سعيد بن عامر عن أسماء بن عبيد قال دخل رجلان من أصحاب الأهواء على ابن سيرين فقال يا أبا بكر نحدثك بحديث. They said to Ibn Sirin, and these are two men from the people of Al-Ahwa, from the people of desire. They said, can we say a hadith to you? He said, no. قال لا قال لا قال. So they said to him, فنقرأ عليك آية من كتاب الله. Should we read unto you a verse of the Quran? He said لا. قال لا لا تقوماني عني أو لا أقومن. Either you get up from me, move away from me, or I would leave. قال فخرج. So they left. فقال بعض القوم, some of the people sitting, they said يا أبا بكر وما كان عليك أن يقرأ عليك آية من كتاب الله. What's wrong with you? What would harm you if they recite a verse of the Quran to you? قال إني خشيت أن يقرأ علي آية فيحرفانها فيقر ذلك في قلبي. I'm worried that if they recite an ayah unto me and they would alter the meaning of it, and that becomes established in my heart, to protect one's heart. So and he says أخبرنا سعيد عن سلام بن أبي مطيع أن رجلا من أهل الأهواء قال لأيوب يا أبا بكر أسألك عن كلمة. قال فولى وهو يشير بإصبعه ولا نصف كلمة وأشار سعيد بخنصره اليمنى. That one of the people of desires, innovations, he said to Ayub al-Sikhtiyani, يا أبا بكر, I want to ask you about a word. He says he turned away and he looked, pointing with his finger, that not even half a word. نعم. وأخبرنا سليمان بن حرب عن حماد بن زيد عن كلثوم بن جبر أن رجلا سأل سعيد بن جبير عن شيء فلم يجبه. That a man asked Sa'id ibn Jubayr about something, he did not respond back to him. فقيل له فقال أزيشان. He said to him Azishan, and this is, I guess, a Persian word that means he's from the people of bid'ah. He's from the people of innovations. And he says أخبرنا أحمد بن عبد الله قال حدثنا فضيل عن ليث عن أبي جعفر محمد بن علي قال لا تجالسوا أصحاب الخصومات فإنهم الذين يخوضون في آيات الله. Do not sit with those who dispute with the Quran. They are the ones that indulge in the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he says أخبرنا أحمد قال حدثنا زائد عن الحسن وابن سعيد أنهما قال لا تجالسوا أصحاب الأهواء ولا تجادلوهم ولا تسمعوا منهم. Do not sit with the people of desires, do not argue with them, do not listen to them. And then the last narration in the chapter, he says أخبرنا أحمد قال حدثنا شريك عن أمي عن الشعبي قال إنما سموا أصحاب الأهواء لأنهم يهوون في النار. They're called أصحاب الأهواء, the people of desire, because they fall in the hellfire. And that's, of course, brings the subject, who are the people of bid'ah? Who are the people of innovation? Because that's a serious matter then in this case. And first of all, we have to have some principles. And Sheikh al-Fawzan, Hafidahullah, when he was asked a question close to this, and he said that, or the questioner was that among the people of, or the students of knowledge, there are differences among them of who's the mubtadi'. Some of them said that whoever says a bid'ah or does a bid'ah, or hujjah is not established on them, or whatever. But his answer was in such a way that, as first he said to them, لا ينبغي للطلبة المبتدئين وغيرهم من العامة أن يشتغلوا بالتبديع والتفسيق. Those who are starting to study the knowledge, or the common people, they should not be busy with tabdi' and tafsiq. This is mubtadi', this is fasiq, branding people with this is mubtadi' and this is not, because this is a dangerous matter. لأن ذلك أمر خطير. He said this is a very dangerous matter. وهم ليس عندهم علم ودراية في الموضوع. They don't have knowledge and understanding of the subject. وأيضا, and also, هذا يحدث العداوة والبغضاء بينهم. It causes enmity among them, and we see that. We see that among the brothers that used to be together. Then they start, oh, this person is mubtada', this person is fasiq, this and that. Even if it's not one of them, they're not accusing of one another, but they're talking about others. And the other person might disagree with him, so then it causes for them to be having enmity towards one another, and they would end up warning against one another, not because of anyone did anything bad, but because of his opinion about someone else. Which is, where is that in the wahy from Allah? He says, فَالْوَاجِبُ عَلَيْهِمْ, and that's the importance of knowledge again. What's obligatory upon them is to be busy with seeking knowledge, and to stay away with and to وكف ألسنتهم, and to stop talking about things that is no benefiting for them and it's harmful. And al-bid'ah is what's got introduced in the deen. And how would a person know that without knowledge? من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. Whoever introduce anything in this matter of ours is rejected on them. So, and if a person does something out of ignorance, he doesn't know that this is bid'ah, he is to be excused with his jahl, as he says. ولا يحكم عليه بأنه مبتدع. Not everyone that committed a bid'ah is a mubtadi'. Not everyone that committed an innovation in the deen, he is an innovator. Because he might be out of ignorance he did it. Does not know better. The ones that he trusts is not their knowledge and their religion. They told him and he doesn't know anything better. So, but his action, of course, is bid'ah, is innovation in the deen. And he also said, من كان عنده أخطاء اجتهادية. Those who have mistakes by al-ijtihad, people of knowledge, they have mistakes, and everybody has mistakes. There's no person of knowledge unless he has mistakes. Based on the ijtihad, they did not differ from the people of Ahl-Sunnah by principles that the people of Sunnah were upon, like al-Rafida, like al-Murji'a, like al-Jahmiyyah, like these deviant sects. But someone from among the people of Ahl-Sunnah, but he made a mistake. Right? This is a normal thing to happen. But you would find to some, this by itself is sufficient to call that person out and to cancel them completely. Imam Salih al-Fawzan rahimahullah, he says, من كان عنده أخطاء اجتهادية. Whoever has mistakes out of based on ijtihad, تأول فيها غيره, other than him, they made ta'wil out of mistake, like Ibn Hajar والنووي. And what وما قد يقع منهما من تأويل بعض الصفات لا يحكم عليه بأنه مبتدع. And in some of the deviation in some of the صفات, because Imam Ibn Hajar and Nawawi and others, they were not upon the Ash'ari sect as some people they think. They وافقوا الأشاعرة. They said something similar to them in the subject of الصفات, the attributes of Allah, but they are not to be given or branded the name that the Abtadi'. Why? Because they're great ulama of the ummah, but rather to say هذا الذي حصل منهم خطأ. What they did is wrong. ترجى لهما المغفرة, and to seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them because of what they've done. من خدمة عظيمة لسنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, because of the great khidmah and service to the sunnah of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. فهما إمامان جليلان موثوقان عند أهل العلم. Great أئمة. He's talking here about Imam Nawawi and Hajar, trustworthy among the people of knowledge. Do you see this justice and fairness in the answer of a alim? This is a alim and he's still alive and he's present. And this is the way of the people of Ahl-Sunnah, not the ways of those who they have no business except to look into the mistakes of people, to amplify it and to kick them out of the way of the people of Ahl-Sunnah according to their desires and things like this. And this is how our ulama are upon. And if Sheikh Ibn Baz rahimahullah also, when he said that, even though in principle if someone does bid'ah, that means he's mubtadi', but if he's ignorance, then he's to be taught. And if he repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mashallah. If he doesn't, then he's mubtadi'. But again, this is not mubtadi' because he met this person or he sought knowledge from that person or because of he comes from this country or that country. This is how things are. Or he has this opinion based on a contemporary issue or things of that nature. This is a very dangerous thing for people to start judging people based on this. But when someone opposes the principles of Ahl-Sunnah in the understanding of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, matters of aqidah, innovated something in the religion. So, things like this. And he says, Sheikh Ibn Baz rahimahullah, he says, كَالَّذِي يُصِرُّ عَلَى احْتِفَالِ بِالْمَوْلِدِ, like the one that keeps on intentionally celebrate the mawlid or the other mawlids, يسمى مبتدع. He's a mubtadi' till he repents to Allah. وَالَّذِي يُصِرُّ عَلى الْبِنَاءِ عَلى الْقُبُورِ, the one that still insists to build on the graves, أو الصلاة عند القبور, or to pray by the graves, or بناء المساجد عليها, or to build the masajid on it, then he's mubtadi' after he's been given the da'wah and understanding and he still refuses. And the bid'ah is, as the Prophet ﷺ defined it, and so on. And of course, the major sects of the mubtadi'ah that we all know. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the evil within our own selves, inshallah, and to make us again. So the focus is to study and to stay away from these distractions. And once a person has the knowledge, then the matter becomes clear to him. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept, inshallah. If any other questions, go ahead, inshallah. At what level is someone considered al-bid'ah? Hopefully, this is just some of the answers to it, inshallah. Is there anything wrong for a common person to spread reminders from the Quran, scholars of the Sunnah, and the Salaf in a group chat? There's nothing wrong with that, but to make sure that this is authentic and it's not any thing, and you know, it's you have to make sure that what you're spreading is correct and it's authentic. And many times people might not have or cross-reference what is being said, then it becomes very dangerous. Now. And also, one of the quotes of Sheikh al-Islam Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, and because this subject is a very serious matter, that especially for the brothers, those who are upon the Sunnah, they can easily fall into this trap of calling people that do not deserve to be called mubtadi'a, and things like this. Sheikh al-Islam Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he says, وَالْبِدْعَةُ التي يعد بها الرجل من أهل الأهواء. The bid'ah that a person becomes from the people of desires and innovations, ما اشتهر عند أهل العلم بالسنة مخالفتها للكتاب والسنة. What is famous and known among the people of knowledge of the Sunnah, that this is opposes the Quran and the Sunnah. So what's well known among the people of knowledge, that this is something that opposes the Quran and the Sunnah. كبدعة الخوارج, like the bid'ah of the Khawarij, والروافض, the Rafida, والقدرية, the Qadarism, والمرجئة. So like this. These are the people that were the people of innovations at the time of the early generations of Islam, when these things start to occur. Not that someone is easily labeling others to be from this group or from that group based on, cutting and pasting, or something that might have more than one understanding, or matters of ijtihad, or other things, yani, of course. Now, anything else, inshallah? طيب, inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow before the first class of the third year, inshallah, we'll talk, inshallah, for less than 30 minutes, inshallah, about what's we're expected going forward, inshallah, and how is that related to the overall program, which is Madarij. We are now starting the third year, and there's the first 2 years are going to start again, inshallah ta'ala, for those who did not study the first 2 years. That's starting November, inshallah. So all of that is part of the program that is, from 4 to 6 years, inshallah ta'ala. Barakallah fikum, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept, inshallah. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.